Hey guys, a lovely good afternoon to everyone, and I hope you all are doing fantastic today. So today I'm going to speak about API. Now let's assume that you are working under private environment where resources are running under private subnet. Now in order to make it accessible for rest of the world, you need to make some kind of arrangement. In such cases, APIs plays very important role. So under these sessions, I'm going to show you that how you can integrate your API endpoint with AWS API Gateway. So your application can be accessible for rest of the world. Simultaneously, under these sessions, you are also going to learn that how you can make easy to target for your application's load balancers, how application load balancer can be integrated with the network load balancer. Later, it is used under the VPC link. So under these sessions, then further, you are going to learn that how you can create the AWS API Gateway, VPC link, and finally we are going through the testing. It means that we will generate the invoke URL and we are going to perform the testing locally as well as through the postman, and we will see that whether the application is proper responding or not. Hi guys, my name is Avinash and welcome to my channel, The Learning Destinations. If you haven't yet subscribed my channel, then please subscribe my channel and press the bell icon as well. Now let's start.
Okay guys, so at the beginning I firstly take you through this diagram, and here you can see this EC2 instance. So let me tell you about this EC2 instance. So currently my application is running on this EC2 instance, and this application is having the API endpoint. Now if you are interested and wants to learn that how I have generated the API endpoint, then on 23rd July I have published one article on medium.com. This is my medium.com account, and you can follow me with this user. You can follow me here. So here I have step by step I have shown that how you can generate a API endpoint. This is the simple application which is designed in Python, and it is having one database which stores some value. So later on when we try to post or get queries through the postman or locally when we test, it gives us the answer. Okay, so that's why I have placed one database behind this application, so it can store some value and we can perform some testing. So now you have understanding that what is the use of this EC2 instance in this diagram. Now this EC2 I have kept behind this application load balancer. Then further I have also created the network load balancer. This network load balancer is then pointing to this application load balancer. Then after that I have created the API gateway. Now API gateway, how we can integrate with API endpoint. So there are different method when you create the AWS API gateway. There are different method of integrations which I am going to show you. So you will be getting in these sessions that there are various options like HTTP through the HTTP endpoint. Then after that there is a AWS resources and VPC link along with other options as well. So in these sessions I have connected AWS API Gateway and the API endpoints through the VPC link. Now if you get to know about that what is the VPC link and how does it works, then another article which I published few days ago on LinkedIn, and you can see this article VPC link and its uses with REST API. So here again I have shown a step by step that what is the VPC link, how does it work, why it is created, and basically what is the role inside the integration. So you can get it from here, the VPC link. Then after that this is my LinkedIn profile. You can also follow me here on LinkedIn, and here time to time I keep posting all the valuable videos over here and the different articles. So you can follow me here as well. Now let's get back on the diagram. Okay, so this is all about the diagram. Now we are going to create this sections, application load balancer. We will keep this EC2 behind this application load balancer, and then we will keep this application load balancers integrated with network load balancer, and then after that I'll move to API sections where I will create the API and VPC link, and then we'll do the integration of this API endpoint with this AWS API gateway. So now you assume at the beginning which I said that let's assume we are working in a private environment. So suppose this is your private environment and currently your resource is running here, so you cannot directly access these applications. So now what using this AWS API gateway, you can access this EC2 instances which is running in private environment, and you can integrate this these applications with third-party softwares or tools using this AWS API Gateway. So now I am going to show you the practically that how you can do all these tasks. So I am moving to EC2 instance. So this is my AWS console, and this is the EC2 instance where my currently application is running. So I am going to connect it, and I am using the EC2 instance connect method, and where I will be connecting it through on the browser itself. So I am currently connecting with my EC2 instance, and once I connect that, then after that I am going to start these applications, and then I show you that how the API endpoint works. So I switch into root mode, and then this is the applications. As a very simple application, it is having only 2-3 lines of coding, main.py, and if you want to design yourself, you can get it from the medium.com and by following my ID, and this is the article which I already told you. Okay, so then after that I'm going to start this application. So the command is pip-env run uv cord, and then I give the host. I'm starting on all the host currently, and I'm giving the specified port number 80, and then say I -- reload. So this application is going to be a start. Okay, sorry, I missed something. So here I need to give application as well, main : app. So application is getting started on port 80. So now I am going to connect my application, and since this is the EC2 instance, so let's go to EC2 instance and get its public IP, and I am going to show you that how. Okay, so this is the public IP. I copy it and I browse it. So you can see that here the current, because I haven't passed any value over here. So now using the postman method, I am going to test it, and I am going to pass some values so it can add here, and then we through the postman, then we can verify two things. One, this application is successfully working, and simultaneously we are also going to do the get queries over there. So we will be getting the added value in through the postman. Okay, so since my application is running, and also when I access it, you can see here it is coming like which I query, get query, right, and it is 200. Okay, so now I am going to, this is the API endpoints for me. This IP address has become the API endpoint, so I am going to query through the postman. So I say http:// and I put here, and firstly I try the get queries. So you can see that the response is 200. Okay, it means it is working, and I am getting the get query response. So now I am going to add some value here. So I am going to run the post query, and I say body, and I say okay, and then JSON beautify is okay. Then I say, so now you can see that message item added successfully, status is okay. Again you can see the 200 okay query, and now if I run the get query, I should get the added value which I added, and here you can see that my first API testing is, I can see my first API testing message which is added successfully. So it shows that this API endpoint is successfully working. Now what I am going to do is currently I am going to keep this EC2 instance behind one application's load balancer. Okay, so now I am going to keep this EC2 instance behind the load balancer. So firstly I need to create the target group, and I need to register my EC2 instance under this target group. So I give it name my ALB target, and here I will keep the target type is instance type. I say create, close, and then I need to go to edit here, and this is the EC2 instance which I am registering under this target group. So I say add to register, and I keep it on port 80 because my application is running on port 80. So add to register here, and then save. So it is registering my EC2 instance currently. Now let's go and create the load balancer, and I choose the application load balancer. So as per the diagram, now I am finishing this part, application load balancer, which later will be pointed to network load balancer. So I say create, I give it name my ALV, and I keep IP version 4, port 80, because application is running on port 80. I give the availability on all the subnets, and this is the VPC where my current EC2 instance is running. And simultaneously also, if you see, there is options comes for security group, add listener, there is next it will come for security group. So I say next configure security group. It is saying basic configurations. Okay, configure security settings. Next go, and I choose this one also where my applications, this application is part of this security group. So I am choosing that one also. And target group, here I can choose the existing target group, and this is my existing target group which I have created. So so this EC2 instance will be running under this application load balancer. Okay, so I say now register target, next review, and you can go through all the details which you have given here, and after that you say create it. Okay, close. So if you go load balancer here, this is the load balancer, and then you get all these options here. Leave it this one, and you can take it up a bit, and here the listener, you can see this is the listener rule, and here you can see the target. Okay, now if everything works fine, we should get the response, this application response on ALB DNS name. Okay, so if I browse this ALB DNS name, it should give the answer, it should work. So currently it is saying my ALB, I think it is still getting created, it will take some time, it is not active. I think you see it is saying provisioning, so it will say take some times, and once it is active created, then after that we should be getting response on this DNS name, applications DNS name. Okay, so let's wait for few minutes and then I get back. Okay, so here you can see that this application load balancer status is active, and if everything works fine, we should get the response using this DNS. So you can see that we are receiving the response, and this is the same response which we received through the postman while doing the get query. Okay, so it shows that our application load balancer is perfectly working. Okay, so okay, coming on this diagram, now this part we have completed, we have successfully integrated this EC2 instance with this application load balancer, and our applications is running on this EC2 instance. Okay, so far this configuration is okay up to here, and then now I am going to configure this network load balancer. So, and for that I say create network load balancer, I say create, I give it name my NLB, and I say port 80 is okay, VPC same, and I am going to select all the subnet, it should be more than one. Next configure, and I am going to select here improve your okay new target group. Here I am going to select the target, and I am giving the name my NLB. Here I think this is recently changed. Earlier there was also option of application load balancer, so your target can be point to applications load balancer as well, but currently there is only two target type, instance and IP. Okay, and earlier there was a option of application load balancer as well. That's why previously when I configured, I have pointed my network load balancer to application load balancer, but I guess now recently AWS has changed and there is a no application load balancer policy. So currently I cannot select this application load balancer as a target under my this target group. Okay, so now I am going to select the target type is instance, EC2 instance. It means this network load balancer is having this target group. Now it is directly connecting to this EC2 without this application load balancer. Okay, so I am going to select instance and I say next, register target. I select this, add to register, next review, and I say okay. Now everything you can check here, internet facing so and so, VPC, tags, new target group, routing, blah blah, and then create. Okay, so it is successfully created, and here it is still provisioning this network load balancer, my NLB. It is still provisioning. Once it is active, then we move into the API sections, and firstly we are going to create the VPC link. So now you can see that network load balancer is active. Now we will be moving towards the API sections, and we are going to create the VPC link first. It's getting loaded. So we move to VPC link, then I say create, and I create for VPC link for REST API. Now you want to understand that VPC, what is the VPC link for REST API, then you can follow my article. You can read this article. It hardly takes 2 minutes to complete it on LinkedIn, and you can follow me also on LinkedIn. My name is Avinash Mato. I'm existed on LinkedIn with this name, Avinash Mato. Okay, so now I'm going to integrate it, and I'm going to give it some name. So I say my VPC link and target NLB. So since this NLB we have already created, so I am selecting the created NLB, and I say create. Now creating this VPC link, it will take some time. Currently you see the pending status, so it takes around 5 to 6 minutes. So then once it is active, then I will get back again. Till the time I am pausing this video. Okay, so now a status is available. This VPC link has been successfully created. I am moving towards the API sections, and here I am going to create the API, the REST API, this one. I say build. I say new API, I give it name, my API, create API, and then I'm under the actions, I'm going to create method. So I say first any method, and I go this any method, and here the integration type. If you remember at the starting of this sessions, I told you that there are various options for the integration type, like there are HTTP, AWS services, VPC link, and mock is also there, lambda function is also there. So this time I am going to use the VPC link, and I say method any, and VPC link which I just now created, I say save. Invalid. Okay, so I need to give this endpoint URL. Okay, so this endpoint URL will be the application's load balancer URL. So I go in EC2 section. Okay, so this is the application load balancer. I need to point this DNS name over there, so I can copy from here this, and I go to AWS API sections, endpoint, I keep it HTTP://. Okay, and I say save. Okay, so now I have successfully created the API called my API. Under this API, I have directly created the method any, and I have integrated it with the VPC link which we have previously created. Now for testing, firstly we are testing from here the AWS API console, and secondly we are also going to test through the Postman. So I am querying the get query first, and let's see that whether it's responding or not. So I'm getting 200 response, you can see, and this is the item which we have added. And if you directly now if you directly browse through the applications load balancers DNS name, you will getting the same. Even for the instance ID also you will be getting the same, and even from the API gateway we are getting the same, right? So now try to post some value from here. Okay, so this time I am adding my API testing has been executed successfully. Okay, so now this item has been successfully added. You can see the status code 200. Now if I run the get command and execute it. Okay, sorry, I need to pass the body in such format. So I can go to post, and again in the body sections I keep it here, this one. I delete this one, and here my API testing has been executed successfully. Okay, now it will execute successfully. So here now it is a status code, you can see that message item added successfully. And if I do right now the get query, I should receive both of the messages. The earlier which I have pasted, my testing has been executed successfully, and earlier it was my first API testing. Okay, now we are going to test through this Postman. Okay, but in order to do that we need to deploy this API. So we will get the invoke URL. So I'm saying that new stage, I'm giving this stage name is dev deploy. So it is deployed successfully. Now under the stage we are getting this invoke URL. So this invoke URL later you share it with your team, so they can integrate it with third party software and tools or other environment, or they can add it with the customer VPC environment. So if you see that we have successfully configured till here. So here we have created the AWS API Gateway, we have created the VPC link, then we have created the network load balancers. This network load balancer, this time we directly pass to EC2 instance through this target group. We haven't we haven't brought back this application load balancer between this target group and this EC2 instance. The reason, this time I think the AWS recently has changed something. So under the target group, now target type is only instance type and IP. There is no option of applications load balancers or load balancer. Earlier there was the options of ALB as well. Okay, so now it's time for testing, and this time we are testing through this invoke URL, and we say get, and so you can see that we are getting successfully response. My first API testing, has been executed successfully, and we are also posting some value using this invoke URL. So this time we go raw, and here this time we are saying the messages. This testing is done from Postman. Okay, send. So you can see the successfully message status okay, item added successfully, and we are getting the 200 response. Now we can check in the get method. So here you can see that this testing is done from Postman. Okay, so here after generating the invoke URL also we are getting the successfully response. It means that the applications, and we are getting all the logs as well. You can see here Here we are getting all the response here. Okay, so this means that we have successfully integrated this applications endpoint, this API endpoint to this AWS API Gateway, my API, and we have generated this invoke URL, and we are successfully getting the response using this invoke URL. So in real world scenario, you can share this invoke URL to your customers, and then customers can integrate this invoke URL to third party software application or some other VPC. There they can invoke it. Okay, that's how the rest of the world can reach to your application, this application, using this invoke URL. This is what I wanted to explain. I hope you really enjoyed these sessions. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends as well. I will see you in my next tutorial. Till the time, thank you so much for watching this. Have a good day.